Hello, welcome back. I have brought on, I'm going to try to get her on. It is Elizabeth Sherman, and she is a good friend of mine from Fem City. Fem City is a women's networking group. We network from our soul, and Elizabeth's expertise is in women in their midlife. And so she's all about building a relationship with yourself, with food, and your body. But she particularly has expertise in women in midlife. And so I thought this group could really benefit from another topic that um, that that you guys have questions on, and maybe Elizabeth can share with us her wisdom, her expertise on women in midlife. And so I've prepared a few questions for Elizabeth to answer, and let me pull up my notes. And welcome, Elizabeth.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad it actually is working now. Yay.
There we go. I had to turn up my own volume. So I'm so grateful for you taking time today on a Friday afternoon to come into this community and share your wisdom.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to share.
And if you have seen, for those who are watching, if you have seen, Elizabeth is our fabulous Friday gal today. So she is also being featured in that way. This is something new. I just wanted to add value and resources that you could connect with. And maybe, yes, you're spiritual because you're in this community, but maybe there's something going on with your body that you have questions about, or maybe there's something going on with your relationship with yourself, or with food. And I thought, you know what, let's bring in additional resources, and Elizabeth is that for you. So Elizabeth, what would you like to share first about yourself, or introduce yourself a little
Yeah.
bit? If you
So I am a life and health coach for women in midlife. And so what that means is that I help my clients. They always say, I know what to do, I'm just not doing it. So I help my clients follow through on the things that you should be doing, in the areas of eating, in the areas of exercise and physical activity, sleep management, stress management, body image. And then I also help my clients to manage their perimenopause, menopause symptoms naturally without drugs or supplements or things like that. So through lifestyle. So that's basically what I do. And there's a lot that goes into why we don't do what we know that we should.
Yeah.
And
What
it
is
all
something
kind of hits at
yeah,
midlife.
what's like one thing? I mean, there's so many different levels,
Yeah.
but I'm very curious because I probably also fall into that category.
Well, so actually you can break it down into two main reasons. The first reason is that we tend to overcommit. And so, like, for example, I was just talking about this with another coach that, like, I'll set a goal to exercise 5 days this week when I haven't exercised for, let's say, 3 months. And so we think we should be able to do that because we used to do it 3 years ago, or everyone else is able to do it, right? And so we set these goals that we think we should be able to do, but women in midlife, our life circumstances are so different than they used to be, than everyone else. And so we really need to look at, like, what are the things that are happening in your life right now? And can we make that goal a little bit smaller to fit in? Because the lie that we all tell ourselves is, oh, it'll be fine next week, right? Like, we are so bad at projecting the future. And so anyway, that's one. And then the second goal, or the second reason that we fail to do things that we know that we should, is they're not resonant enough. And so
Ourselves, like, does it go back, like, when you said should, that has been like a big thing for me just recently.
Yeah.
because as I'm stepping into the healed identity of, this whole thing that I've been going through and now sharing, I have found myself saying things like, well, I know I should do that. Or I know I should post a reel. I know I should blah, blah, blah. And I had to remind myself just last night, I was telling Craig, I need to not do that. That's the old me. Like, what resonates with my soul? What resonates with my body? Like, I myself have, like, I told my good friend Dawn this. I was like, I asked my body, do you have a goal? Or no, I asked my soul, I was like, soul, do you have a goal of that you want to be housed in a certain body? And I was like, do you have a soul goal weight that you want to be housed in this temple that you live in?
Yeah.
And Todd's like, you really talk to yourself? I was like, this should not surprise you. Like that is like, so if I'm over here going, I should do this, I shouldn't do that, that's probably, I'm probably looking outside of myself for resources instead of going within and seeing what resonates. Is you're getting like what you're saying about resonating?
Exactly. Yeah, like women are told all of the time that we should be able to do all of these things. We should, have everything, right? We should take care of our family, and we should be this powerhouse at work, and we should be the best friend and the best daughter taking care of our parents. It all converges at midlife. And so when it's, that this is happening for you when you don't really want to do it, but you want to do it. Right?
Sorry, this strikes home so well.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so those are the main two reasons why we know what we should be doing, but we don't do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So one of the questions that I have for you is, what was the biggest shift you see when women going through this midlife wake-up call?
Yeah.
Instead of being like a midlife crisis, maybe it's just a wake-up call, or where
totally
my alarm set to jump on here and I haven't turned it off, so it's like keeps coming up. Oh my god. But what is like the biggest shift that you see in women during this time, and why do you think it's just such a turning point and so powerful for them, for us, for me?
Yeah,
whatever.
Right, you and me both. There is so much change involuntarily happening in our lives at this time. So there's our body. So not only are we moving out of our reproductive phase, but our body is physically changing too. I have a podcast that's called Body Image, or I forget, it's something about body image in midlife. And body image in midlife is so different than what it used to be when we were 30 and 20 and 40, because when we thought about body image then, it was generally about our weight. But today, it's also about our hair and about our skin. And for me, I'm really struggling right now with my eyesight. And so, yeah, like I'm frustrated every single time I need to go get my readers.
I just had to look up something on my phone this morning for my daughter. I think it was for like school lunch, and I did one of these things, and I was like, son of a... What?
Right. Exactly. Our body is changing, and we have very little patience for it because we have everything coming at us. We have been taught that we should say yes to everyone's demands of us. And that's kind of part of it. But then our relationships are changing too. Our kids might be going off to school, and so therefore we don't have relationships out of convenience anymore. In other words, the parents of our kids' friends, right? And you're questioning, like, do I even want to be friends with Jane anymore? And then my relationship with my partner. without kids around, who are you? Like, right? And so like all of these things are changing at the same time. And the other thing that I love is that our conversations at dinner time are changing as well. So like where we used to talk about like going to cool concerts and things that were really fun, now we're talking about like insurance premiums and injuries and diagnoses and medications and stuff like that. Like our dinner conversations are changing too. So everything seems to be moving into this change for
Mhm.
us. And I think that women are wanting something deeper. And one of the reasons for that is actually hormonal. So, estrogen is high when we are in our reproductive years. And it's one of the things that estrogen does is it actually makes us nice, for lack of a better word. And evolutionarily, this is necessary because we need people to reproduce with us. When I love it.
I just, okay, I'm not, but anybody who watches this, I am not laughing at Elizabeth.
No.
I'm laughing at how true all of this is because I feel it in my core.
Yes. And so when we move out of our reproductive phase and into menopause, our estrogen levels drop. And what the byproduct of that is that we don't give an F about everyone else. And we're like, wait a minute, I have been serving everyone else for so freaking long. And I was told that someone, like, I would have a white knight in shining armor to rescue me. And that's not happening. Who's going to take care of me? I guess I'm the one that's going to have to do it. And so that's the byproduct of that. And so that's where we get that midlife awakening from, is like, oh, no one is here to save me. The rest of my life, if I want it to happen like I want it to happen, I need to be the driver. Yeah.
Which that leads me right into taking the second question is just taking back your control, taking back your power.
Yeah.
And what is the first step that someone could take, you know, if they're feeling overwhelmed by everything that they may have been putting off doing for years, or they all of a sudden are like have this awakening like, wow, I can take care of myself, I need to take care of myself. Like, what's like a first step?
Yeah, I think you and I would probably approach it a little bit differently. You probably would go inwards and ask divine, like, what should I be doing? And I guess I kind of do that too. I'm a very visual person. So what I tend to do is I create a visualization of the future version of me. What do I want my future to look like? What do I visualize myself doing in the future? Am I someone who golfs? Am I someone who volunteers? Do I like to paint? Like, what are those things in life? Like, what do I want my relationship with my partner to look like? Do I want to travel? So like asking yourself those types of questions and then trying to figure out from there, like, how do I start to chip away at that vision, that goal?
Yeah, I actually just did that. I went on to ChatGPT and I was like, this is all the things that I want to experience. And this is how I want to interact with my husband and my children. And this is what I want to be doing on a daily basis. And this is the work I want to be doing. And this is how I want to feel when I wake up. And I was like, create a day in a life of this future me. And then I went and I recorded it via Zoom so I could hear it. And then I put it on like a whole, like with music and like a whole video and everything. And it's delicious. It's like my favorite thing to do. Like, it's only 7 minutes, but it gets me into that future vision of myself. I mean, that's what I never knew that I could even do that until I decided I got divorced like 16 years ago now. It's just so far, it doesn't even, I have to think about it. But I didn't know I could create my life until during that time I read The Secret.
Mm.
And so I was literally like laying on the couch of my old home, and I was like, I can create my life. Like, oh my God, like so much is going to change. And that was like the first, and it was cool to see that vision come to life. And within a year, everything had shifted and changed, and I was living that. So it can happen quickly too.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think that, my high school song, my high school prom song was Once in a Lifetime by the Talking Heads. Do you know that song?
I probably do. I'm just
It's,
not like
yeah,
names of
it's
songs.
I thought it was a weird song when they chose it for a prom song because it's, you may find yourself living in a shotgun shack. You may find yourself living in another part of the world. You may find yourself living with a beautiful wife in a beautiful house and asking myself, like, how did I get here? And I think that for many of us, what happens in midlife is that we kind of, I don't want to say wake up, but we have this vision of what we want our lives to look like when we're in high school. And through our lives, through through circumstances, first of all, but also making the easy choice over the hard but right choice, we start to veer off of that track, right? And so what tends to happen in midlife is we're like, oh, wait a minute, I thought I was going to be here, but in truth, I'm over here. How do I get back here? Right. And so, yeah, I love that that idea with ChatGPT. I've done the same exact thing. And I listen to a meditation every single morning and I stretch to it and it just sets my day off just beautifully.
Yes. That's also what I have noticed about myself is I'm not eating out of anger anymore.
Mm.
I when you're talking about like relationships with food, and that's, I know you like, you didn't say that right now, but it just came to my
Mm-hmm.
mind. Um, a relationship with food, and then also like, oh, you're extra, like when you're exercising and when you're saying you're listening to like the meditation or the music and just like going a little bit slower and feeling in my body. Like, this is like probably the first year of my life, even though I'm not at my soul goal weight, not
Mm-hmm.
yet, but like I'm actually okay in my body. Like, I
Yeah.
actually like being human. I like me. I
Mm-hmm.
like being in this body and not being like, oh, it needs to have this, or like, I, yeah, I don't know. I just,
No,
like
100%.
a,
Like that
like a
was actually,
shift, like going slow, gentle, instead of having to work out to be rewarded for to eat something, or just to work out because I love my body, because
yeah.
I want to live a really long life. Like, I don't know. It's just in the last year that I just started looking at it differently. So when you said meditation and flow and stretching, that's just what came to my mind.
No, you're absolutely right. And it goes back to what we were talking about before with the shoulds and the wanting to want to, is when we can change our experience and really. So first of all, actually, let me back up for a second. I don't want to say all, 90% of diet and health advice that's out there right now is made on the basis of college aged men. Women in midlife
What?
have a, yeah. Like until the 1950s, women's bodies were intentionally excluded from research because of hormones. Men found it too complicated. And so they were just like, well, it works for these college aged men. It should work for everybody. And so the rules that we have about how we should move, how we should eat, largely grew out of that. It's all of the eat less, move more type of work. But we have hormones, which something that happens we're moving out of that reproductive phase of our lives is our bodies become more sensitive to insulin and we become more reactive to stress.
Yes.
And so we have to be slower and more gentle with our bodies. It no longer works for us to go out and do the calories in versus calories out,
Yeah.
because that's a stress on top of like the overeating piece. And so, yeah, I love it that you are paying attention to your body, because it completely changes your relationship with your body when you, or the rules,
Mm-hmm.
when you're doing things to feel good versus because you should do them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that leads me into my third. So like when many, oh, I know, you're just great. You just keep flowing right into it. Many women struggle, as you pointed out, with guilt when prioritizing their own needs.
Mm-hmm.
And after years of focusing on others and doing everything for everyone, how do you guide them to set some boundaries and embrace self-care without feeling selfish?
Yeah, that's a tough question. And I think the overarching question is, how would you feel about someone else who was doing that same thing?
Mm,
We have different rules for ourselves than we have for other people.
yeah.
And so if someone else, if it's okay that they eat cookies or watch a soap opera midday, like, why are you not allowed to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so the first step is really questioning our beliefs about how we should show up in this world as women. And then the second thing, like, if we're talking about parenting, because that creates a lot of guilt for many women, is, oh, but I'm supposed to be there for my kids. And so I love asking the question, like, how could you show up for your kids today that in 30 years they would be like, my mom was the best, right?
Yeah.
Like, so not really thinking about like the minutia, which is where we tend to go, but like how you show up for your kids
Mm-hmm.
and your partner or whoever. Like, how can you show up and serve? And it's not in doing, it's in being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Both of my girls love hugs. Hug doesn't take too long. Like,
No.
so if we're putting off a workout because we don't want to take away from our children, maybe we could just give them a hug and take less time, and that's really what they want.
Mm-hmm.
And then we still make 20, 30 minutes for ourselves. I had a fear around being too sexy or too healthy or outshining my daughters. I had seen it when I was in high school. I seen it in some friends, their mother relationships and things. And I guess I just got it in my subconscious that I don't want to be that. I don't want to create that. But neither of my daughters are like that. Like we don't have that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just changed my thought around. Instead of like in 20, 30 years, I still want to be around. So eating crappy food or not exercising won't allow me to do that. So instead of like putting myself in this box of like I need to be a frumpy mom who has a certain body type so that way she doesn't outshine her daughter, like that whole thing that I had in my head, I was like, I want to be healthy for them. Like I want to be the example for them. So like I love your question of like what would you say if my daughters started working out or started eating healthy and choosing healthy foods? Like I would be like, way to go, sister, good job.
Well, and you are tapping into something right now that I think is really super important, which is most women would not want for their daughters to think about themselves and to treat themselves like do.
Mm-hmm.
They want better for their daughters.
Yeah.
Your daughter is going to follow your lead. So being an example of what you want your daughters to experience as they grow into womanhood,
Mm-hmm.
like do that.
Mm-hmm.
Be an example.
Yeah. Yeah. It's more, I feel like that is more motivating than trying to put myself into a box. So it's like, how
Yeah.
can I be an example for them?
Mm-hmm.
So like giving the hugs, sitting and listening. And I think that is even a healthier approach than thinking of it how I see others do this as well would be like, well, my mom did it this way, so I'm going to do it this way. Like the compare and contrast.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to teach my daughters to do that. I want them to just be themselves. Well, then guess who gets to be herself? To be the example, you know? So
I love that.
um how can people connect with you? I know I have it on the post, but if anybody does want to connect with you, or do you have any special offers going on right now, or will be?
I don't, I just did a workshop last week, and I'm going to start doing them not monthly, but every other month. So follow my page, Total Health by Elizabeth, and you'll find out about the next one. I love teaching, and so the more that I can do, and the more that I can inspire women to take care of themselves, because you only have one body. And so take good care of it, because it's your ride and die. And so anyway, that's my big thing is we always think that it's going to get better later, but you really have to take action now. And so yeah, that's all I have.
All right. Well, thank you so much
Thanks for having me.
time. And I hope people got some little nuggets of takeaways and encouragement to take care of themselves, motivation to take care of themselves and show up. So much love to you, and thank you.